Happy Tuesday or happy day whenever you are watching this replay. Hello, I am Tatiana. I am a business coach and mentor for women wanting to start their own stationery businesses, and I love to help you get out of your way so that you can get to your purpose, get to your calling. And I'm just excited for this live because it's been a little bit since I've done one. I'm happy to be getting back into them and hoping to get on more of a schedule with these lives. And I'm planning on doing one about every other Tuesday. So we'll see how that goes. But hello, as people are hopping on, I'm excited for you to join me today. We're going to be talking all about just the lies, the misconceptions of the things that keep us stuck, that stop us from moving forward within our business, whether you are wanting to start the business but you still haven't done it yet, or if you have started but you hit a roadblock and then you stopped. Those are kind of the two things I find where we get stuck. Me, myself, I get stuck. So I'm excited to share some of these different things. And I feel like I've already said excited like 20 times. So hi, thank you for getting on. Hello. So happy you're here. If you are watching, even if it's the replay, let me know where you're watching from. Let me know what type of business are you running or getting ready to start. Let me know a little bit about you. Same for everyone over on Instagram. I am streaming on both Instagram and YouTube, so if I'm looking back and forth, that's why I wanted to be able to spread the love around and talk to you all this afternoon. So as I shared, I am a business coach and mentor, and I have been working with women for a little over 2 years now to help them get out of their way when it comes to getting started with specifically stationery businesses, but really just business in general. I am a big believer in people having their own thing, running their business, whether it is your bread and butter or it's something you do on the side. I just am so passionate about us doing something that is bigger than who we are, what we're being called to do. And so I love this work. I love these topics, and I really just love helping people to get motivated and inspired. If you are watching over on Instagram, or if this is your first time, I do also have a YouTube channel that I post on pretty frequently, at least twice a week, and I talk about all of these topics, but even deeper and in depth, and really just give my all to make sure you get everything you need to be set up for success. And so, yeah, just wanted to share that little tidbit. But hello, good to see you. Thank you for getting on. Hey, Kiana, glad to see you on as well. And hey, Erica Michelle. Hello, I'm actually working in the masterclass right now. Oh, that's cool. Very cool. So yeah, it sounds like Erica is in the Handmade Planner Masterclass. That is a class that I put together to help those that are wanting to make their own planner or journal by hand. So I hope you're loving it. I hope things are moving along smoothly. And if anyone does end up having a question at some point, feel free to drop it in the comment section. And I always do the Q&A part at the end. So I'll be sure to answer any questions you have. And I see Anita just hopped on. Hey. So let's go ahead and get into this. I have a couple of notes that I wanted to just stay on task with and just kind of get right to this. So the reason I'm calling them lies, you can put whatever word you want, myths, misconceptions. These are things that I have heard from many women that I have worked with closely, many women that I've met with on discovery calls, and just different things of why people have not gotten started. Now, one thing that I always find really interesting is that when people decide that they do want to start a business, a lot of times it's not something that you just think of. You just wake up one day and then you get started 2 days later. Most of us are not like that. And a lot of times we will talk ourselves out of it over and over again. We will tell ourselves so many different things as to why this isn't for you, why you shouldn't be pursuing this, and just questioning it all. I know one of my big things, and for me and my story, is always just thinking about my past failures or mistakes, and just not really feeling like I was going to be able to do this entrepreneurship thing when I couldn't even be successful at something that I had been doing my whole life, which was music, and me wanting to break into the music industry. And so I had to get out of that mindset. And so whatever that thing is for you, these are going to be some of the things we're talking about today to just kind of help with overcoming that. And so the first one is saturation. I hear this all the time. And even once people are within my program, a lot of times I will hear this, because one of the things I encourage the ladies to do within the program is to get out there, do some market research, and to see what is already out there. What are people already doing? And what you can take away from that, what you can learn from that. And a lot of times they will come back and they'll be like, okay, it actually made me feel like, whoa, there's a lot of people out here doing this, and now I'm wanting to change my idea, and all these different things. And the reason that I have you do that is because I think it's important, one, to be aware of what's out there. I mean, some people refer to it as competition, whatever you want to refer to it as. It's important to know what is already out there so you know what the playing field is like and you're able to see where you fit in. And so if you're getting ready to start a journaling business, for example, and you specifically want to maybe you specifically want to start a journaling business and you really want it to help those that are within corporate America, and you're really wanting them to be able to get all their frustrations out within their journal. Like maybe that's just your thing. It's very specific, but maybe let's say you decided to dive in and do some market research, and then you find that there are already 10, 20 businesses doing something similar to you, which I feel like that one's super niche down, so probably not even that many. But anyway, let's say you found that. And then instead of looking at it like, oh my gosh, there's already people doing this, I probably shouldn't do it. I always think, okay, why am I having this on my heart? Why am I being called to do this? Why is this something that I'm constantly thinking about? Because that's one of the big things for me too. Even over the years, tomorrow will actually, or no, what's today? The 17th? Not tomorrow, Thursday will be my 6-year business anniversary for the Stationery Muse. But over the last basically 6 years, I will have something on my heart and it'll just not go away. Like I might brush it off, be like, no, I ain't doing that. And then weeks will go by and then it'll come back up again. And that's just a constant cycle. And so ask yourself, like, why is that happening? Why am I thinking about this? And not so much of like what everybody else is doing, but why are you being called to do this? And a lot of times, even though there may be 50 people doing something very similar to you, keep in mind that God has called you to do it as well. And just because they're doing it their way, you're going to do it your way. And you're going to speak to your specific people that you've been assigned to in order to help them unlock their potential with your product or what it is that you're offering and what you have to say. And so there are a lot of business coaches out there. And so if I was to believe that lie of, yeah, there's already a lot of business coaches out there, no one really needs me to guide them through this. If I was to believe that lie, I wouldn't be here on this live right now, and I wouldn't be helping the hundreds of women that I've helped. So the thing that you have to remember is that there's a reason you are being called to this. And so really trying to focus on that calling is really important. It really is. And I think that it takes away so much of, there's so many people doing it out there. There's so much of that comparison that happens with that. And even with the comparison piece, I think it's always important to keep in mind that you are seeing somebody that is running their business and maybe they've been in business for 10 years. Maybe they just started popping off online, 2 years ago. So you have no idea, what that first part of their journey looked like, the tears they might have had, the struggles, the 0 people purchasing, the money they've lost. Like there's so many things that we don't see and you probably will never see unless somebody just decides to tell you those things. But all you're seeing is the success now or, whatever your version of success is. And so comparison, saturation, I feel like it all just kind of fits into one bucket of just remembering that you're being called to this, focusing on your lane, staying in your lane is really the biggest thing I can say when it comes to how to combat that lie, is just always going back to the drawing board of like, okay, you're starting to lose focus of what everybody else is doing. Let me go back to my why. You're starting to get a little bit confused because now you're seeing so-and-so is doing this, but nope, you wanted to focus on this. This is what God was calling you to do. And so I just really want to continue to, I feel like I say that all the time, but I just really want to continue to say if it's placed on your heart, it's there for a reason. Don't ignore it. That is probably your purpose. There is somebody out there that needs your product and they're waiting on it. They don't want it from the other 100 businesses out there that are doing it. They want it from you. So that is to combat that. And one kind of like sub point that I put on here is, this is something I hear all the time. I more so hear this now that I've started my business when people are like, oh, well, what do you do? And I used to like trip up over what I did because I know people will be looking at me like I was crazy when I say like, oh, I run an online stationery business. People are always like, people still use that stuff? People, nobody's using no paper planners. Everybody's digital. And it's like, well, if everybody was digital, and if everybody wasn't using this stuff, then I wouldn't have a business. And so that's another one that I myself, not necessarily that I've heard from clients, but that's just something you have to just get used to. People are always going to have an opinion about things. They're always going to think they're in their own little bubble. We all are in our own little bubble. And until you branch out and see what else is out there, you're only going to see things from your one view. And so that's definitely an example of that. People are going to be like, well, yeah, because you use Google Calendar for everything, you automatically assume that everybody else does that. But no, there is a whole community, thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people out here that absolutely love paper planners just like they did 20, 30 years ago. So hi to everybody that's getting on. I see my grandmother is on. Hey, Granny. Hey, Kirsten from Creative. I think, is it Kirsten from Creative Founders? Okay, so the next part of this is number 2. I am not an illustrator. Hey, Ashley. That is another one of them. I am not an illustrator. I hear this on a lot of my calls, discovery calls, especially of like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't know how to draw, or I don't know how to do graphic design, or I don't know how to do all of these different things. And so the biggest thing I would say for this is that you don't have to have that skill. You don't have to be an illustrator. You don't have to know how to do graphic design. But I always say this from 2 perspectives. Either it's something that you're interested in doing and you would like to teach yourself or learn from someone. And that is definitely something you can do. When I got started, I was not a graphic design guru. I was not, well, and still not like super great at doing illustrations, but it was something that I desired to do for my business. And so I learned how to do that. But the beautiful thing is there are a ton of amazing designers out there that are willing to do it for you, and they all are at different costs as well. And so that's what's kind of cool about it, is that you can delegate that portion of your business to someone else if you are really feeling like, okay, I know I want to create this product. It could be anything. Like, let's just use a notepad for an example. And maybe you really wanted to have this really cute graphic on there. You can see it in your head, but you just don't know how you can make it happen. Maybe you even try to draw it yourself. It looks crazy. Don't let that be the roadblock that stops you because it looked crazy. Either you decide, okay, I'm going to take a class on Skillshare. I'm going to watch a couple YouTube videos to learn how to use Procreate. Or back when I was first doing my stuff, I was literally just drawing on pen and paper, and then I was scanning it in my laser printer and then uploading it to Illustrator. So that was a whole long drawn out thing. But whatever the case is, either learn it or delegate it. And that's just how simple that can really be. But if you decide that that's just not for you, you don't have an interest in it at all, then I am a huge advocate of finding someone that does love it, that can do it for you. And then that takes something off of your plate. So there's not really too much more to say about that other than that you do not have to be an illustrator. And the other point I will say is that, let's say maybe you can't find someone that you want to work with, because I know that can be a big thing. Fiverr is a great website to get started with. I always recommend that to find graphic designers and illustrators to work with. I do also myself, I do some small graphic design projects occasionally, so you could possibly reach out to me and see if I have any openings, if there's something you need help with. But another thing for illustrations is Creative Market. I love Creative Market. That is a great website. Etsy is another one where you can basically search, okay, I'm looking for butterfly illustrations. Maybe you want that for like the cover of something you're doing. And you will see all kinds. You'll see watercolor illustrations and people doing like line pen art. And there's so many different styles. It's just a matter of getting out there. Now, it is a commercial artwork, so that just means that everybody has access to that. So yes, you may see that design on someone else's stuff, but I used commercial artwork for more than half of the time I've been in business, and still do when I need to. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think especially if you're able to do it in a way to where you can kind of change it up a little bit, add some pizzazz, make it a little bit different, it helps. And so that is available to you as well. And that literally is something you could get right now. You wouldn't even have to wait to hear from a quote from somebody. You download the images and they're ready to go and be placed on your design. Oh, you have the same shirt. Yes, I love this shirt. This is from, why can't I think of the name of the store, y'all? It's from Is it Mess in a Bottle? I think it's called Mess in a Bottle. But yeah, black owned. I love this sweatshirt so much. I wear it all the time. Okay, so that is number 2. Hopefully that was helpful. Let's see, Alyssa. Hey, Alyssa. Hey, Takia. I'm glad you were able to catch the live. She said, finding a designer that gets my vision has been difficult since my niche is very unique from a design graphics perspective. And yeah, that's the thing sometimes I hear is just finding the right fit. I think don't give up. I know there are I've talked to other stationery shop owners where they have a lot of those little cute characters and stuff that they use for like their stickers, and they didn't always get it on the first try with somebody, so don't give up. Keep trying. You will find them. Sometimes it just takes a little bit. And somebody said yes, paper planner girl. Yeah, I'm a paper planner girl. I'm become over the last like 2 years or so, I've become like a hybrid girl, because at some point I was like, okay, some of this stuff has to have a notification so that I don't forget. But yeah, I'm definitely both. I'm definitely all into the paper planners, and I also love me some digital as well. Okay, so let's see. Number 3 is I don't have the time and I don't have the money. So this, to me, this is going to really be relative to everybody's situation. Everybody is going to look at this a little bit differently. So for me, I might say I don't have the money, but I'm thinking like, oh yeah, I really wanted to order 1,000 planners overseas, and they gave me a quote saying it was going to be X amount of dollars, and I don't have that. And so then I just give up, and I'm like, okay, I can't do it right now. I don't have the money. Or, maybe someone over here that's saying, because I always talk about both handmade and manufactured all the time. It may be someone that is more so wanting to do it handmade, and they're looking at the investment of the equipment, which sometimes can be significantly cheaper if you're doing it at home. Like if you're getting commercial equipment, that's going to be pricey. But if you're getting like a silhouette, a printer, paper, things like that, it can be relatively affordable, depending. But again, somebody might look at that and say like, okay, I don't have money to invest that. So it's always hard to really say like how much money you need to get started. But what I always say is if money is an issue and that's something that you're finding that is stopping you, really consider drop shipping or consider manufacturers that do one-off printing. It is available out there. There are some right here in the United States. One of my personal favorite ones is Stationery HQ. But basically, drop shipping, Printify, Printful is an example of that if you're not doing necessarily just paper products. And what I like about it is that you can design something. It's going to be a high quality product, and you don't have to even worry about the fulfillment part of it. You don't have to worry about packaging anything up, making labels. They pretty much take care of it all for you, but it's your original design put onto basically like a blank design or a blank product that they have. So the biggest thing I would say for that is it's definitely a cost saver as well, because with both of those or all of those I just mentioned, you could just get one. You don't have to get 100 or 500 or something that feels intimidating. You don't have to get equipment or anything. You can just work with a company that has everything already in their facility. They're going to do it for you. And at the most, you are going to pay. If you're purchasing a sample for yourself, you're going to pay for the cost of the item and the shipping. Or if a customer is purchasing it, the customer is paying for it at that point. So there's little to no expenses with that. And so that is another example of there not being an excuse to let money get in the way of that. And as well as time, because I think I mentioned time, because if time is an issue, you can also utilize drop shipping and one-off manufacturers to do it for you. So you don't have to feel like, oh my gosh, I don't have time to sit here and make all of this stuff myself. It's not for everybody. Sometimes it's not for me. So I definitely get it. And so that drop shipping, one-off manufacturing is a great solution for that, for you if you are kind of in need of getting out of that hump. Okay, so the next one this is more so one of just kind of putting yourself out there. And this is one that I hear all the time. And hello to those that are just getting on really quickly. We're just talking about some of the different lies that we tell ourselves or that we hear as to why we are not getting started with our stationery businesses. And so far, we've talked about some different things from saturation, comparison, being an illustrator, being super creative, and also just finishing up with not having enough money and time. And so now the next one is that you will look silly or feel silly online. And so I know right now, especially if you are a big Instagram user or if you are planning on running your business on Instagram as far as like promoting it on there, right now short form video is a really big deal. That's kind of what is being pushed. But a lot of times what we see is, people pointing at stuff, and for some people that's kind of silly, or people like doing voiceovers or they're dancing, and sometimes people instantly think like, okay, well, yeah, I'm not trying to do that. That's not me. That's just doing too much. Or even so, more so sometimes it's like, I want to appear professional and different things like that. And so what I will just say is a couple of things. I think it comes from a few things. If you're worried about people that know you, like family and friends, because I know that's something I always hear all the time, just keep in mind that these people are not you. They're not in your head. They're not in your household. Whether you're trying to start this to have some extra income or you're just doing it because it's something you truly are passionate about and you want to do, they are not going to be the ones there to fill that void for you. So you have to kind of just remove them to the side. And if you're really feeling uncomfortable about it, because I know like on my Facebook page, I have my personal Facebook, I have a whole bunch of people I went to high school with and my mom's friends and stuff like that. And sometimes it can be kind of embarrassing in a sense, or feel embarrassing. It's really not, but it could feel embarrassing to be like, oh, well, I don't want people knowing what I'm doing. But I will say that my first customers and supporters and people were people that I already knew. And so even though it might feel silly, or you may not want your family and friends to know what you're doing, or whatever the case is, I think that it's always a great place to start because it's already a following that you have. And even better, it's people that know and trust you. They may not be your target audience, but they may support you in a way of sharing it with their friends, or passing along the information to the people that they know. And that's valuable. That's important, especially in the beginning. Word of mouth is huge. And so don't for a second let your family and friends knowing what you have going on stop you from the greatness that you are being called to. But also the other part is that I just feel like, let's just use this as an example. So going live. When I first decided to start going live, it was not that long ago. I would think it would probably have been maybe about 2 years ago. I had like toyed around with it, but every time I got ready to go live, I was like sweating. I was nervous. I made excuses. I just wouldn't even do it. I would like write down that I was going to go live, and then I would just not even do it and like come up with something else to do in that time. And I kept putting it off. And the reason for that was because I have always told myself like, oh, I'm not good at public speaking. And that stopped me from going live. But the thing is, there is so much value in being able to be on with people, answer questions in real time, interact in real time with people that you otherwise you wouldn't. Because yeah, you can comment back and forth, but it's different. The energy is different. And so I finally was like, okay, I want to show up for my business. This is something I'm trying to do. This is important to me. And if that's the case, if I'm sitting here saying I want to have a successful business, I want to help impact these women's lives, well, you got to get uncomfortable. And so I have this quote that I put on. It was actually one of my subscription box themes, and then I ended up putting it on shirts and things. But it's basically, may my urge to grow be stronger than my urge for comfort. And I think that it's just important to remember that there's going to be a lot of discomfort in running your business. That's just part of it. It's never going to change. Even me 6 years later, there's things that are uncomfortable for me that I'm having to learn. The ebbs and flows of business is just something that we constantly have to adapt to. The changes of algorithms, the changes of Instagram, which was a picture platform, now focusing on short form video. Like, it's just things we have to deal with. And it's like, either you're going to jump on board, and figure it out in your own unique way, or not get left behind, but you really are kind of sleeping on your calling. You're sleeping on what you could be doing, your potential. So I don't think you will look silly. In fact, I think that you will probably be surprised, by how much of a connection you make with people once you do start putting yourself out there, showing up, and not so much thinking about, oh, I look silly. Oh, I don't want to show my face. I have a whole video about showing your face on my YouTube channel. and how to get over that. But the biggest thing I'll just say about that before we move on is just you got to show up. There's really no way around it. Well, not even unfortunately, there's no way around it. You are running this business, and unless you have this team that is going to do it for you, you kind of have to do it. So that is really all that I have to say about that. But you will not look silly. And there's going to be somebody that's going to be looking like, oh, I want to be like her. I want to be able to show up in that way for my own business. Let me follow her just because she seems so confident in what she's doing. Even though you might feel unconfident, just like Kristen was saying, she still gets that way when she goes live. And she has a very successful business, you guys. So it's not really something that ever goes away. You might feel silly. You might feel like this is just what's the point. But most of the time after I do it, I'm always like, okay, that was so worth it. And even like, okay, Anita's comment right here. I swear your lives be a whole message. Love them. Like that alone. That one comment. If that was all that I got today, I succeeded, So just, even if you can help one person, just think about it like that. And I know we're talking about product-based businesses, but it's really the same. I always tell my clients, yes, you're selling a product, but think about what is the problem that you're helping people solve. So, if you sell planners, okay, yes, you're helping people get something to get organized with, but think deeper than that. What type of issue might this person be having? Are they super burnt out? Are they overwhelmed? Are they just looking for a solution to help them get out of their way? Are they just needing that thing? For me right now, I'm struggling with just trying to get systems in place to just stay organized with all of my different roles. And it sometimes can be a lot. It makes me feel like, oh my gosh, am I not being the best mom I can be, the best wife I can be? That's some deep stuff to be feeling. So it's not just about, oh, you're selling a planner, but it's like, no, I'm helping to change people's lives. In my way, this product can really make somebody feel better about themselves. And so digging deeper into that will give you the content and the things to do. It won't be silly. It's really going to be something to elevate people, make them think differently, help them with things they're struggling with. And so think about it like that. Think about the impact that you can have. So I only have a couple more of these points. The last two, so actually, no, just one actually. So it is that I can piece the process together. And so this can look very different, but again, this is one of the main things I hear is, oh yeah, I've just been watching a ton of YouTube videos. I've been watching, 10, 20 different people talking about this. What I find anytime I go to the internet, if I'm looking for anything, it could just be something simple. Like right now, I'm doing this whole gardening thing, y'all. It's a whole thing. I'm gonna have to do an update on what happened. But instead of me just following one person or one method or get one book and do that, instead, I'm just getting pieces of everything. And so one person over here is saying, well, you just do this. And this is the type of soil you need. And this is what you need, blah, 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 blah. Then somebody over here is like, no, you don't want to do that. You have to use this. And so by the time I sat there for 10, 20 minutes, I've read 5, 6, 7 people's different opinions to the point where I'm stuck. I have no idea how to move forward because this is my specific situation. And all of these different people are giving me their opinions. They're telling me what they believe is best. And here I am still with no solution. And so the biggest thing I would say to this, I'm not saying, oh, just watch me or just work with me. What I'm telling you is to find one thing you resonate with, whether that is a book or that is somebody you follow online or whatever the case is, and just stick with that one thing for a while. I'm not saying never listen to anyone else again because that's just impossible, but just to give yourself a chance with one method. Because when you start getting so many different conflicting ideas and opinions and so-and-so over here saying do this, but then this person is telling you, no, that's not the way, you get stuck because you're like, okay, well then what am I supposed to do? And so that's really just the last thing. I feel like it's a lie because we have the internet and yes, it's readily available for us to find any answer we need. But just because it's there, it doesn't mean we need to access all of it all the time in every single instance. And a lot of times, this is even something my business coach just told me when I met with her the other day. Rely on your own instinct. If you feel like something is best, if you feel like this is what I think the direction I should be moving in, go with that. Learn from that. And if it doesn't end up working out that way, well, great, because now okay, this is not something I want to do again. There's so many times in my business where I relied on myself and one or two things happened. I either did great and I'm like, okay, let's do this again. This was amazing. Or I'm like, okay, maybe that wasn't the best choice. Let me either find a professional that might be able to help me, or let me try it again this way. But it's always a learning process, and it's something that you want to do. You want to make mistakes because that's how you get better. So that is pretty much the points that I have. I guess that ended up being a total of 5-ish points. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Latrice, exactly. Information overload. Exactly. It's like you just take in so much information to the point where you do nothing. Even though you would think, like, oh, yes, I have all this information now, I got all these notes and I'm ready to go. But you actually are more confused because of that. So, whatever that looks like, it could be different for everyone, but just finding that one thing that's your go-to just in a specific season or a quarter, just so that you are not running around like a chicken with your head cut off trying to figure out, like, well, who should I believe, what like, what should I follow, what method should I do. Just sticking to one thing really helps for a while. So that's pretty much all that I have. Does anyone have any questions? I always like to do a little Q&A before I get off, if anyone has anything before I go. But I appreciate you all getting on with me. This is my first live in, I feel like, a couple of months, but I'm excited to be getting back to them. I'm planning on doing them about every other Tuesday around this time. So I will try to schedule them so that you can know when they're happening, for those that are probably like, when do you actually go live? Let's see. Oh, I'm curious if you're into groups right now. Oh, are you meaning like live? On the live? Yes, I am on both Instagram and on my YouTube channel right now. So yeah, I am looking back and forth, if anyone is wondering, for that. Let's see. I'm so curious. I'm learning this new from you both here on. Okay, so yeah, I'm on my YouTube channel, but the one thing I will say, so if you are trying to go live, and this really can help for anyone, there's a lot of different what is it called, stream services you can use to do this, where you can go live on multiple things. So at one point, before I separated my two businesses, I used to combine the Stationery Muse and my coaching stuff in one. And so I will be going live on my Facebook group, I will be going live on Instagram, and I will be live on my YouTube channel all at the same time. Unfortunately, I have not found anything where Instagram can be part of the mix, I guess because it's more of like a mobile app, pretty much. If anyone knows of anything, let me know. But StreamYard, and now I use Ecamm Live. Those are the two that I love. You could even be going live on Zoom and be going live on platforms. Like, I love it. You can be going live on multiple things, and it's super seamless to use. I really like it a lot. So yeah. And thank you. Yeah, it's definitely weird. I feel bad because I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, you're just looking over there. So I have to remember, I'm like, okay, I'm on two things. But yeah, and then if you are going live on, let's say if it's your Facebook group and YouTube, for example, then you would just be looking at the one screen because you wouldn't be on Instagram. But I like to include Instagram because it's fun. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm like Vulu Plady 42. I probably jacked that all the way up. Thank you for the encouragement. I make handmade crafts, and I finally put my stuff online for sale. It's a slow process because sometimes I might have to adjust what I make to see what people want. Definitely. I understand that for sure. I think in the beginning for anybody, it's always kind of confusing because, yeah, it's like you don't really know what people want. I know people ask me a lot of times like, oh, should I have something made to order? Or should I have it ready to ship? And I do suggest in the beginning, kind of like you're doing, to have it made to order, because I would hate for somebody to sit down and you spend like a whole afternoon printing out, I don't know, 50 sticker kits, for example, or something like that. And then finding that people don't like that one, but they actually like this thing that you made and you only have one of those. So it is kind of slow in the beginning, but I think one thing you could definitely do is survey your audience, kind of find out whether, I don't know what platform you're active on, but utilizing the polls feature on Instagram, or if you have like an email list, sending out a small survey and just kind of asking like, hey, what do you like? What do you like to use? What colors do you like? Like, get specific and ask them what they prefer. And that will actually give you a jump start to know like, okay, this is what I want to create next. So hopefully that'll help a little bit with that. But it can be a struggle just not knowing what people want. Takia said lunch break pre-scheduled for the next couple of weeks. Then, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm trying to get back into this live thing. Like I was saying before, like lives had made me nervous when I first started doing them, and so now it's not as bad. But yes, definitely pre-schedule it. I will be back at least every other Tuesday is what I'm thinking, but I want to eventually get it to every Tuesday. Hey Audra, one of my really good friends is on. Hi. Okay, let's see. Let me ask you this. If someone wants to get started in their business, what would you tell them to focus on first? What lies to let go of? I missed the beginning if you said that already. Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I think the biggest thing I would say is as far as what to focus on first would be just getting an idea of what they want to do. Because I think sometimes people will say like, oh, I really want to get started. But more often than not, they have a ton of ideas, like a ton of product ideas. And there have been so many ladies I've talked to, and it's like, oh yeah, I want to create a subscription box. Oh, but I want to do a journal, and then I want to do stickers, and I'm also thinking I kind of want to do shirts. And it's like, not that you can't do all of those things, but I think that it can just be overwhelming in the beginning to try to figure out all of that stuff up front at once. So I think just finding the one thing would be my biggest thing to say to focus on first, is figuring out that one thing and get good with it, research it, figure out your options, whether you decide to do it in-house or you decide to work with a company elsewhere, and just seeing what your options are. I think that is really best. And then once you kind of have that, you'll have a pretty good grasp on what you want to do. And then the other kind of like second part of that, I would say, is why you want to do it is a big focus to focus on, because again, kind of like we talked about today, there's so many things that can get you hung up and make you feel stuck. And so just having a why for doing something is very helpful. Like for me, I have been going through some personal things. I took a bit of a break from my YouTube channel, but I couldn't stay away that long because it was calling me. Like I was called to come back and to talk to you all and to share my journey and to just tell all that I know, because it's within me, and that's my why. And so knowing your why is really important, because as you are in the beginning of your journey and as you move through it, you're going to need to go back to that, because it's going to be what pulls you back every time. That was so corny. It pulls you back every time. And then the last part is what lies to let go of. I think, all of these. I think I would say all of these, the ones that I mentioned on here, but specifically I would say when it comes to the comparison of just feeling like, oh, well, everybody's already doing it, nobody wants to see what I have to offer. That would be the biggest lie I would say, because like, obviously if you have this idea, it's on your heart, it's something you're being called to do, it's there for a reason. I really feel like, when people say like, oh, I just had this feeling that this was something I was supposed to do. Like, it's not just a feeling. Like, that is something way deeper than a feeling. That is God telling you like, okay, this is your thing. Like, I'm nudging you like, come on, let's go. So I think that would be what I would say for that, is just letting go of the lie that everyone else is already doing it. So what is the point? There's a huge point. So that's what I would say for that. So hopefully that answer helped with that. Let me see. Okay, so this until I start working for myself. Then lunchtime won't matter. I'll just be on my own time tuning. I'm claiming it for you. I'm claiming it for anybody on here that eventually wants to become a full-time entrepreneur. I am claiming it for you, because it's beautiful. I'm probably going to do a video where I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about the pros and cons, because I think so many people always just share the pros. There are a lot of things that are difficult, but at the end of the day, it's worth everything. So I'm claiming it for you too. Let's see. Nina said, hello from UK. Hello. Your channel has inspired me so much. Currently working on the prototype for a journal. Cool. I'm so glad that the channel has helped you. And yeah, you'll have to let me know when the journal is done so I can see how it looks. That sounds exciting. Congratulations. That's a huge deal. I think it's definitely a huge deal when somebody takes something that they've just been thinking about and they're holding it in their hand. Like, y'all, that feeling is like no other. So if you have not experienced that, whether it's a journal or anything, it's nothing like holding something that you have been thinking about. It's just like this, it's almost like having a child on a small scale, but it's really cool. So I'm excited for you, Nina. All right. Any other questions before I hop off of here? I'm really happy. I forgot to turn my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I'm happy I haven't gotten any calls yet. So hopefully in this last couple minutes, I won't get any calls. The last thing I did want to share, I put this note because I knew I was going to forget. The last thing I wanted to just let you all know, if you're not aware, I do currently have a special that is going on right now for all of my coaching services. Every single thing that I offer is on sale just for the month of May. So if you have been wanting to learn how to make a planner by hand, or if you've been wanting to work with me a bit more closely to launch or anything like that, take a look at my services page. I will update the link in this YouTube video and the link on my Instagram bio so that you can read about the services. On there, you'll see exactly how much you can get off of everything, but some things are up to 50% off. I have things that are super low cost. I have things that are a little bit more depending on how much support you're needing, but I wanted to share that, let you know that those things are on sale this month, so take advantage if there's something you've been wanting to do. And yeah, that is pretty much it. Let me just make sure there's no other questions before I go. Thank you all for joining me. I hope you have a great rest of the week. I will be back, if not next Tuesday, the following Tuesday. So I'll keep you posted and I'll schedule it. So thank you for joining. And yeah, that's it. Have a good day. Bye.